afternoon. My name is Bob Rorlach. I'm the President and CEO at the Greater Tampa Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome everyone to viewers for tuning in to our 2018 candidate interview series. At the Chamber, our mission is to serve our members and enhance our community by building business success. We think a part of that is that we have a strong working relationship with our elected officials, and we are doing these videos as a way to help the public be informed of the candidates running for office, and we continue to work with those who will be serving us in elected office. And that's why we're excited to have with us today Chris Paradies, who is running for County Commission District 2 for Hillsborough County. Chris, thank you for being here. We appreciate your willingness to participate. And what I'd like to do is start off by giving you 30 seconds. Tell us why you were running for office.
Thank you, Bob. 36 years ago, when I graduated from West Point and accepted a commission as the second lieutenant in the United States Army, I swore to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. But now our local government is under threat from the corrosive influence of big money politics on career politicians, and that was never meant to be that way. It was meant to be where citizens would serve and then leave, and other citizens would come in and serve. And I want to put the priorities of ordinary taxpayers first. Too often now we're talking about billions of dollars in taxes, but when I talk to voters like Marjorie, who has a husband who's recovering from a bypass surgery and she's got a daughter with a brain injury, and she's working hard to make ends meet while she's 70 years old, you really have to look at how you can improve efficiency and use innovation to make things work better in the county government. And that's the reason I'm running.
Okay, good, very good. Now let's get right to our questions. First question, the business community is desperate for a plan to address transportation in Tampa Bay and Hillsborough County. However, the political will from our elected officials has been non-existent. Currently, there is a proposed plan from the Regional Transit Feasibility Study that identified bus rapid transit as the catalyst project and one option, not the only option, to help move the needle. Specifically, do you support the bus rapid transit concept that has been proposed? And if not, what alternative plan and would you propose, and how would you fund it?
I don't support that particular plan. I don't think it's been vetted properly. And by vetted properly, I mean that you haven't found the people that are actually going to ride that system. It's more of a, if we build it, they'll come system. And the 2014 ACOM study, there was a report that came out in 2014 and was presented to the Hillsborough County Commission. It said that there was not sufficient density to meet the federal guidelines for a fixed guideway type of rapid transit. So the problem with that is if we don't have the density and our bus system is failing, where do people go once they get off of the BRT and they're now stuck on a street somewhere? I suppose they can use ride sharing, but that technology is something that we don't have as a public good. I suppose we could do some kind of a voucher system for that. But we really need to fix our local bus system, HART, first, before we start expending, $500 million on a BRT that's really going nowhere. And my plan would be to follow the 2014 ACOM report, which said we should fix the bus system, and it gave very specific ways to do that are relatively easy to do and not so expensive that you'd have to raise taxes to get that part done. But we do need to invest in a good bus system. We need to invest in HART. We need to invest in innovative technologies. One of the ways of improving the commute times is by using innovation to install adaptive street lighting that can actually speed traffic through streetlights and reduce idle times at streetlights by 40%. A pilot project for that would cost $3 million, which is well within the current budget. And it's something that we ought to try and do right now. We don't have to wait 10 years to do that.
Okay, sticking with transportation, there is a grassroots effort to secure enough signatures to get a referendum on the ballot for a sales tax increase to fund transportation and transit in Hillsborough County. do you support a 1-cent sales tax to fund mass transit and road projects? If so, why? If not, how would you suggest we pay for the many transportation needs that we have in Hillsborough County?
That is a really bad petition that's going around, and the reason it's bad is because it's looking to increase taxes by $8 to $15 billion on our families, seniors, and small businesses, which can least afford that tax increase. So it's a very regressive tax increase that is working off the working families in Hillsborough County. And there's catches in that language. It won't allow any of the money to be spent on increasing capacity of roads. Now, I've been over to Lithia Pinecrest Road, and I've been canvassing up and down Brandon, and I can tell you that the traffic there is horrendous, and something needs to be done. And they've been promised that that road would be widened in 5 to 6 years. I think they've been promised that for about the last 5 to 6 years, that it would be in 5 to 6 years. And so far, nothing has been done to fix the traffic problem there. In fact, just the opposite has happened. Because of big money politics, the commissioners just a few months ago voted to put another 131 houses on Lithia Pinecrest Road in rural land that was vacant, 160 acres of rural land. They voted to increase the density of that housing by 4 times what it was originally in the comprehensive plan to do. So that is a problem when you're increasing density on a road and you're not going to allow the money to be spent on widening and increasing capacity on that road. So I don't support that, and those are the reasons. And what I would do is what I said earlier in response to the first question, which is really use innovation to try and speed traffic along.
Okay. All right, good. Switching gears, Hillsborough County Public Schools have made great strides in recent years to erase their deficit. They rank as one of the top large school districts in our county. They're focusing on increasing graduation rates, particularly among minority students, but funding remains a challenge for them. How would you work with the school board and the superintendent to make sure our schools have the resources needed to handle growth in Hillsborough County?
Well, as a county commissioner, you know, our line items aren't on education, so they have their own budget. And there's a limited amount that we can do to actually affect the school budget. But what we can do is we can make sure that the children arrive safe at school, and we can make sure that they are safe while they're at school, and we can help out with the sheriff's office and other budget items that would come from the schools otherwise. And I heard Chad Chronister say that he didn't think that teachers were going to have to carry guns, and if the sheriff failed to keep students safe, that would be a huge failure for him. And I encourage that. I think that really our sheriff's department needs to make sure our schools are safe. I think that what I can do as a county commissioner is fairly limited in affecting the school budget, but what I can do is make sure that we don't spend our precious resources on things that are not priorities. Our children's education and our children's safety is a priority, and we shouldn't be spending, you know, $500 million on a stadium for a billionaire when we really need to be focusing on the priorities that are important to ordinary folks.
It's interesting you referenced the stadium, because that's our next question. Moving to baseball, the baseball ballpark in the urban core has the potential to become a commerce driver, much like the Tampa Bay Lightning and Amalie Arena. Do you support the Ybor site that has been identified by the county and Tampa Bay Rays? And if elected, what is your vision on financing a ballpark for Ybor?
I think that the owners of the Rays, which will increase their equity by about $400 million, if you believe what you read in the press, ought to pay for the baseball stadium. If they can find willing private sector contributors to build that stadium, that's fine. I don't think the taxpayers should be paying for a baseball stadium, a private stadium for a private team in Tampa. We already have 3 stadiums, and we don't need to be burdened with a 4th stadium. And Ybor City location seems fine, as long as they can take care of the bottlenecks and traffic that are there. But it really is a private sector play. The public should not be paying for that. And what I read in the papers right now, it looks like the taxpayers would be footing about $400 million of that through some complex financing scheme, which would probably include a TIF area, which wouldn't really support payback of the bonds in that area. So the taxpayers would eventually end up paying those bonds. And I don't agree with that. I think that, you know, if we're spending $30 million a year on a stadium, we're not spending $38 million a year on things that are higher priorities to taxpayers.
Okay. As we wrap up, we want to prioritize your goals if elected. The funding pie is only so big, and it's difficult to fund everything. Plus, the homestead exemption potential, if that gets passed, could have an impact on local government spending as well. We mentioned 3 areas where funding is needed. Can you prioritize the order for your issues that are most important for funding if you were to serve as a county commissioner?
Well, for the county commission, really traffic congestion and the quality of the roads. Right now, we've been not maintaining our roads. We've not been maintaining our sports fields either. And they're starting to show a great deal of wear, particularly in those areas that haven't been the highest priority for the city and county. So we really need to focus on making sure that we're doing the things that are important to taxpayers. And right now that is fixing traffic congestion, fixing the damaged roads, and making sure that people can get to work and live their life without having to be stuck in traffic and, you know, a traffic light 3 or 4 or 5 times before they actually get through the light. And that can easily be taken care of by embracing innovation and making sure that we do what's really other cities have already done. They've already decreased the idle times at traffic lights by 40%. So we need to do that too.
Okay, great. And is there somewhere voters can go to learn more about you and your positions on the issues?
You can go to paradiseforus.com, and you can actually take a survey there, and you can let me know what's important to you.
All right, terrific. All right. Well, that concludes our candidate interview. And on behalf of the 1,400 members of the Chamber and our board of directors, we want to thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your willingness to serve our community.
Thank you, Bob.